I'll wait.
There's
Okay,
no
I'll
on the
wait.
rest, huh? No on the rest?
I did, I don't know unless he's got busy at work, so he's gonna, no audio, no camera?
Yeah, use computer audio. You're probably not gonna have the camera because I didn't mess with it to try and set
okay.
it.
Oh,
You said you didn't need it, so I didn't play with it.
Cool,
Boarding in progress.
there you go.
There you go.
Sweet. So we'll do a call to order at 16:04. And our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we'll do roll call.
Nick? Andres? Joe?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
Zach?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Just barely.
And that would move us to item number 3, adopt the agenda.
Make a motion, we adopt the agenda.
The only thing I see is, are we having
Oh.
attorneys?
No, we don't need to
Don't need
have
it.
an executive session.
Okay, so the only change to the agenda would be striking item number 4?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll second the amended agenda.
Tom? motion.
Joe. Okay. Tom?
Yes.
Andres? I got you guys all mixed up in here. Zach?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
You guys will never know what order I'm calling on. So
Just
pay
keep making
attention.
sure we're awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I got them. They're all different. Okay.
So that'll move us to our new item number 4, which would be public comments.
None.
Sweet. Then our new item number 5 would be review meeting minutes from February 26, 2025. I did not see any issues with it.
I don't have issues. I'll make a, unless Joe, do you have anything?
No, everything was
Okay.
fine to me.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of February 26, 2025.
I'll second it.
Tom?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
So that'll move us on to item number 6 now, financial statements, February 2025.
I got a little PowerPoint because I thought it would be easier to see. Instead of just doing it this way. I want to know about tips. So I don't really need to go through all this. This is just stuff I kind of threw in there. Just some little highlights. Our revenue, January and February, was $98,848. Our expenses were just shy of $174,000. So our net income was negative $52,448. Which, like I said before, we're still waiting for the billing stuff to come in, so this is about normal for this time of year. So no concerns there. Our total cash on hand is $3,437,701.04, and that's between the general district funds and the enterprise funds.
Oh, they're working on the roof, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, that's
It's
really
not
far
like
up there.
the other room, the bedroom was upstairs, right? Yeah.
Billing performance, so, and this is just what had been billed out, so these trip numbers might be actually what we've run. So they billed out 250 trips for the year so far. Our gross charges were 757,000-ish. We've only collected 11,000, which, like I said, we've got delayed billing just for deductibles and stuff. So where we're at now is approximately 1.5% collection rate, and that's going to go up.
Cool.
So if it makes any notice at all when I review all the trip numbers and stuff, we're up to trip number 492.
Okay.
For the year.
Just for, yeah,
Cool.
for the year.
So yeah,
So we're right on track.
yep. doing just fine. February, we billed out 113 trips. We charged just shy of 349,000. Our average trip charge was just over 3,000. And again, we haven't collected anything for the month of February. We have collected $77,500.28, and those are data service payments. So those are payments that, let's say we ran somebody in October. It applies to the October, but we collected it now.
Gotcha.
So it'll apply to the October fund, but they came in and they made a payment today or whatever the case was.
Gotcha.
So that's what's showing up. And then this is our 12-month payer mix. So between Medicare and Medicare Advantage, it's about 50% of our payers. Medicaid's at 25%, private insurance is at 10%, facilities at 3%, and then government 3%, self-pays 11%.
What's facility?
Facility can be either the hospital or
Hospice.
Hospice.
Okay.
We've got a contract with Melrose Hospice.
Have we received any kind of, I assume there's no real update on, I know we were waiting on Medicaid to update their treatment in place protocols and the payments as such.
So we're fighting with the state because the legislators, well, the governor, because of the budget shortfall.
Mhm.
They don't want anything that's got any kind of fiscal note attached.
Mhm.
It'll be denied. And so we're trying to figure out a way to pass that bill without having a fiscal note attached to it.
Gotcha.
So it's still in progress.
Cool.
This is a 12-month outlook. Total trip numbers 1801. Gross charges 5.4 million. Net charges for 3 million, and we only collected 1 million. So it just goes to show our billing versus our actual collection rate.
Mm.
Our average gross trip was just under 3,000. Our average cash per trip is 574. And like I said before, go ahead, Tom.
So with government accounting, Joe, maybe you're familiar. So we can just write, that's a write-off, right? When we don't,
Yeah, if we get to a point that we feel like we're not going to collect anything further on them,
right?
then we can write them off.
I mean, that's substantial for an organization, that percentage. So, but I'm sure but like I'm saying, with government accounting, they probably just take it off the top and,
Yeah, so it's, I mean, just across the board, that's what EMS agencies deal with across the nation. It was just the standard
I was
practice.
gonna say, I'm not so sure it's government accounting more so than ambulance service accounting, because it's got to do with the insurances and what they write, what they choose to pay and what.
it's just there's differences. Government accounting is different from private, and we're government, so.
Right.
Well, are we more on a cash basis or accrual basis on doing that tax set off? Because, you know, the cash is what the IRS likes to see, you know,
Right.
the actual dollars and actual spent. The accrual's kind of looking forward to getting something,
More-
banks like that.
Yeah,
So
it's
kind
more
of
accrual.
More accrual
Yeah.
than it is, because that, it's just a little more dangerous in that.
Right.
Because it's not hard numbers, they're
Right, and that's why
soft.
we're very careful with what we do and when we build our budgets,
Okay.
how we build those budgets.
We have to keep an eye on it.
Um,
Are we doing anything, and then we've talked about this before, but I'm sorry, I've just been fuzzy for the last 2 weeks, I've been running like crazy. The cash on hand, where are we doing that bank-wise as far as percentage of interest and things like that? Are we taking advantage of any of the?
So Barb's got an update on that.
Yay, there
Just
she
got that
is.
today, actually.
Actually, it happened today. So, our money market with the transportation enterprise is with Bank of the San Juans. There's $1
Yes.
million in there.
Yes.
And I called InBank here because our money that's sitting in InBank
Yeah.
has a higher percentage rate on their money market.
Yeah.
So I called Bank of the San Juans. I said, look, I don't want to have to do all the paperwork, but can you meet the percentage? And he goes, yeah, we can do that.
Wonderful.
Nice.
So we went from 2.5% to 2.75
Okay,
Cool.
okay.
on that one. And then there's, I can't remember.
Well, Five Star Bank, I think is around 3.25 right now.
Okay.
And if the money's be tied longer, we could put it with a broker like, you know, Edward Jones or something like
I
that.
don't
It's
know
like
if you can
4,
do that,
4.5.
can we? I don't think we can do that with government funds.
I think there was an issue, we talked about that before, and I think there was an issue with that.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, there's just.
like, let's take it
yeah,
where we can get the most out of it, but I think
You're limited to.
we have to be
That's
FDIC.
still, that's
yeah,
better
yeah.
than, I think
So,
all the
and
banks in
then-
town 0.25%.
Right, and then
yeah.
the 2 bank accounts that we have at First National, they're in checking accounts, so it's like 0.1%.
Right, yeah, okay.
I hate to play this card, but, so Bank of the San Juanzo, that's in Pueblo or Alamosa,
Canyon City.
Canyon City? And if it was
One in
local,
Pueblo West.
don't we help the local community?
We've got over
2
1.5 million at First National. We've got 500,000 or 600,000
You remember Bank of the
in
San?
bank. So we've done pretty well with them. We went with Bank of the San Juans when we did the loan.
I kind of remember the
We had to get the
discussion.
construction loan.
They were willing to do
Mhm.
whatever.
And so they were willing to work with us and stuff. And so in the process of closing that loan out with the USDA, we wanted to keep those funds completely separate
Sure.
from anywhere. And it was just easier because it was already in there. And so we just set it up to have that money drawn out of there.
In time, if it's close, I would throw it locally. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, because then they turn around and they loan that out in the community. So
And I wouldn't mind that.
But First National's really pitiful.
Well, and that's the other thing to add to that is when we were looking for construction loans, First National in-bank would not work with us for such a big loan.
right.
And so that's why we ended up going with Bank of the San Juans.
Okay,
So-
I kind of remember some
Yeah,
of
I
the
did remember
discussion. So
this.
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree with
We
you.
can
if
roll.
it's close,
we can
But
roll.
you might want to look at First
No.
as a 5-star down there. I think they're like 3.25. Goes up the CDs.
It's an extra 0.5%.
And their money markets were more too. I think they were like over 1%. So for money market.
Well, our money
So-
markets are now at 2.75.
It was, something like that. I just was breezing through, so I'm looking to roll over some of our stuff, so.
Barbara, how often do we discuss this? How often does this come up that we would even consider, moving? I mean,
It
it's like the CDs
doesn't,
at
I
12
just
months.
did it because I knew we
Yeah.
had a higher interest rate at in-bank,
Right,
and they said that they would, give us that higher rate. So I thought, well, I'll just call these guys and see if they'll match it, instead of having to do all the paperwork and the
That's smart,
USDA
yeah.
paperwork
Sure.
and everything else. I just called
but
it.
is it like a 12-month or whatever the
It-
CDs?
If they're not CDs, they're money markets.
Okay, so
So-
you can cash those out quicker.
So
CD
they're
is a
actually,
little better.
they're at, well, yeah, they are, if you know you don't have to touch it for a period of time.
Yeah, but the worst thing in an emergency, you lose a little interest.
These are checking accounts.
Okay,
They're money market checking accounts. So you can write up to 10 checks a month on them if you needed to access the money. It was easy access if we needed it.
okay, all right.
We had CDs with Bank of the West, who was horrible to work with. And, yeah, we pulled those out. Oh, God, when it finally closed, that CD, was it 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah,
I think?
right about
It's about when we put everything in
2
in-bank.
years ago, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So, yeah, it just comes up when somebody thinks about it.
Yeah, that's the way I was just thinking about personal stuff. Oh, well,
Yeah, tax season.
yeah.
Yeah.
Worked out. So our average cash per trip that we're collecting is $574. If you remember before, per call, we should be collecting like $1,300. So we're severely underfunded there, but I mean, it is what it is. We make it work.
Yep.
And our 12-month net collection rate's at 34.2%. And that'll go up as soon as we start collecting for January, February, March. And this just explains the date of service payment, which I already explained. That's all I have for my financials.
Very good.
I make a motion, we accept the financials.
Second that.
February 2025.
Tom,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
That'll move us on to item number 7 now, old business sale donation of the 2009 International Awards.
So I had Bubba look up some figures to kind of see where we're at. And the high end, I think he said was 30,000 and the low end was 20-ish. So we were thinking maybe put it on the market for 25 and see what happens.
Cool.
I think 30, we won't sell it at 30. Just because the units that we were looking at, that I was looking at were around the same year,
Mhm.
but had 100,000 less miles.
Right.
So just throwing that out there. Yeah.
Don't we have a new engine in that one?
No, this is the
This is the
bigger
big one.
international.
Oh, okay.
Is this the one we were gonna send to foreign country?
Mhm.
Oh, that's right.
And then in addition to that, we're gonna sell the cotton load system out of it, so we'll
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right,
we'll
right.
try to recoup as much as that as we
Yeah.
can. So
So you're thinking like 20, 25 for it?
what I would ask if the board was okay with it is let chief decide, but I would like to see, I think it's worth 20,000 for all these uplanders and different things like that,
Right.
but if we got somebody that's willing to deal, I think if you guys would give him the thing to
I
be able
think
to
if
sell it.
you play the little tool, it's 25, well, you gotta talk to the board, and sometimes it nudges them over
Yeah.
the edge, but I'm okay with that. if you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, I'm okay with letting you play it, and then if you need to put it on us, then absolutely, whatever needs to happen.
We can do that.
I think it'll help our budget for sure to be able to try and pull some in if we can sell it.
Absolutely.
Especially if we can sell it to like the Highlander, Overlanders.
I already reached out, there's some Rattling Fair guys that are interested
Oh, nice.
at around that price range too,
Cool,
so
cool.
we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion for that, or?
Not for old business. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
we do
Oh,
because
yeah, for-
it's a sale item and it's over his
Gotcha.
budget.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we set the valuation for the international ambulance at 25,000 with an open negotiation down to as low as 20,000.
I'll second.
Tom,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
That'll move us on to item number 8, new business. Looks like donation of the 2016 Ford Transit van.
Bubs, you're up. Okay,
What up, Bubs?
so with all this good stuff that we're doing at the district, it managed to garner a meeting with the discharge planners at Mount San Rafael. So Angela and Irene, as well as one of the caseworkers that handles the discharge and treatment for the Medicaid population. And we had a really good meeting. Liz and I was there. One of the things that came up was obviously transportation. And it was said that Irene was doing a lot of the transportation herself in her own personal vehicle. And I said, by the way back, when Dan was here, he offered John Tucker to donate one of the wheelchair vans to the hospital so that they could get their patients and wheelchairs and those type of things that we don't get paid for, things that we don't always have staff to do that. So I suggested to Irene, I said, if you would send me an email, I said I would run it up the chain and see what we could do. I will tell you the only thing that truck's being used for right now is Junie's driving it back and forth to Honey for the school for a couple hours a day. So we'll work around that. But I think it's good. Not only are we reaching out and we're trying to help and working together, but in addition to that, I think that helps because now they have an avenue. They also have a vehicle and they
It's an extra set of
they can
hands.
do that kind of stuff that we're not in the process.
Yep.
So if you remember a couple months back, they wanted us to take a patient from the ER to Safeway
Right,
and put her in her wheelchair.
right.
Now that alleviates all that.
Mhm.
They have a wheelchair van, they can go get the wheelchair, they can bring it up to the patient patient can motor on wherever they want to go or however they want to do it. These patients that we have to take home, they're wheelchair bound, taken care of.
Yep.
So I would strongly recommend that we do that. I think it's an olive branch and
Yes.
I do believe that we are the type of people that need to take the high road as often as we can.
Yeah.
So,
I think you know how I feel about that.
so that would be our suggestion.
I fully agree. I think that on number one, I mean, strictly logistically, it makes sense. Because it does allow another set of hands that we can't provide to be able to provide transportation to people here. And then another, almost equally as important, but definitely secondary, is for sure, it's an olive branch where it's like, hey, look, we are willing to work together. We want to, desperately. And so I think it's a good sign of hey, we are here. We're not trying to fight. We just want to do what we both want to do. Like, we both want to help the people. We both want to get this done. And here's an example of that. I think I fully agree. I personally am for it, but it's open to discussion.
I agree.
How many miles is that on?
I have to.
It's all right. Yeah, no, I agree, Zach. It's an olive branch.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think it's, yet again, it's a good like you said just there, it's a perfect opportunity to take the high road, and then that gives the opportunity for both of us to take the high road and meet in the middle. And even if it doesn't go that way, at least it's another attempt. But I would love to try. I think that's great.
does it have our emblems and?
Nope. No, it's totally unmarked.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, we'll need a motion to accept donation of the 2016 Ford Transit van VIN ending in 287505.
I will make that motion that we donate the transit van ending in the digits 7505.
Yeah, 7505. You said
I'll second 505.
Yeah, 287505.
You just read
I
all
just
six.
said the sixes.
Oh,
Hey, you're lucky I didn't say the 8 at the end.
Barbara, I don't know if you heard me by second.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, we went off on a
That's all right.
tangent. Thank you, Tom.
A little bit of ruckus today.
Tom, thanks for pulling us out of the weeds.
Yeah.
Tom,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Do you want our stickers on it?
No.
Magnetic.
We could just throw one on the bumper.
So we can put donated by.
we'll get that started.
Oh, God.
Do you want to call the newspaper for a newspaper
Yes.
article?
Yeah,
or
as perfect
donation
as it
of
would
that?
be for like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
I'd do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so somebody needs to do that,
I will take care of that.
and I'll get the paperwork.
I will get that, so, and as we're sitting here, I assume that Irene has already spoke to her powers of be as well. So I will let her know that we are good to go, and then we'll arrange and we'll get it cleaned up and we'll get it ready to go.
Yeah, I think that's great.
So, and then we'll plan a photo op and go from there.
Sweet. Yeah, I look forward to, maybe that's a time at which we can show face, shake hands. Maybe it'll be a moment to step forward. Like, hey, here's the van, let's take a picture together and let's open a new chapter. Maybe.
That'll be a headline.
Yeah.
Tad and
And
SRH.
Hopefully not one of those like Jay Leno headlines. Hopefully it's a good headline.
That
Thank
would
you
be
guys, I
nice.
think it is good.
I think so too. Yeah, thanks for meeting with them and doing that. Is any opportunity we have to try and mend, I think is great.
We want to use the equipment, we don't want it to sit.
Exactly. It's for the people. So it's like whoever's using it for the people. That's why I liked the idea of trying to focus on, if we're going to donate it, donating it locally, because it's like so hard to get resources out here that if we already have some and we're able to spare them, and this is a perfect opportunity for that, especially with an organization that'll be able to use it and be able to really, serve everybody with it. So I think that's great. I like it. Thanks for spearheading that. And that'll move us on to item number 9, Director's Report.
Did a little PowerPoint.
Nice. Look at you go. Is this why you came in the sleeves and stars?
Yeah, I just figured it'd be a little bit easier.
No, I like the visual. He's like, what? That's my slideshow.
I could have done that.
What's a Bubba report
right there. Now I see why the wine bill was so low.
That's funny.
The other building's been listed for lease or sale, so
Sweet.
still
That's awesome.
waiting on that. We did file our motion for the KISS self-service district thing, and they've got until April 14th to respond, so.
Cool. So
We're
we
just
likely
gonna hold
won't hear
fire.
until it got done.
Nothing there. AFG grant, I'm sure that's on hold until the federal government figures out what they're doing, so we're still pending on that.
Yeah.
And then the state grant, we had the RETAC reviews on March 18th. And they said that that was probably one of the best written grants they've seen in a while, and there was no questions, so.
That's awesome. Who's writing them?
Congratulations. I did.
Oh, you didn't want to plug yourself there.
No,
saw
I
it.
didn't.
I saw that
I was,
humble,
I was getting ready to.
that humble eye dart. I
Really
saw it.
lather him up there.
That's not me.
You did great.
Thank you. Some quick updates. Again, every Friday, we're doing the EMS advocacy committee meetings. Still fighting for that balanced billing bill. Trying to push a few other bills through. March 19th, we did the additional grant funding webinar. And I think that one was was it the Safe Streets?
Yep, that was Safe Streets.
So we can partner with CDOT or not and try and get a Safe Street grant, but it's gotta be geared towards transportation type
Okay.
grants. So I don't know if we can tie anything in, but it's an opportunity to look at. And then,
Stoplight out here.
right,
Turn the trolley into a public transit.
there you go. And then all this week was First Responder Wellness Week, and so March 24th was a functional fitness webinar. March 25th was the post-traumatic injury webinar.
Today was about money.
Today was a money sparks, it's right there, money sparks for first responders. And then there's one Thursday and one Friday, I don't know what they're geared towards. March 24th, I met with a gentleman from Streamline, and they basically manage websites. And I think we're gonna use them because the state passed an ADA requirement that websites need to be ADA compliant by July 1st.
Gotcha.
And for us to manage that will be difficult. And so I think this is the best way to go. So I'm supposed to give him a call tomorrow. We're probably gonna start on their midline package, which was, I think, $350 a month.
Yeah, I think so.
And they'll build a website for us, they'll manage it, they'll make sure it's ADA compliant. And then as part of that, they've got, what is it called?
25,000 for, is that what you're?
Yeah.
No. So if somebody was to file a suit against our website saying it wasn't ADA compliant, we would have up to $25,000 to use that towards that suit.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
So on that package is 25,000. On the package that I would really like, that would really customize it, is the next package up. It's 50,000, but that's also $785 a month.
so there's and then sorry.
No, that's, so have you already signed a contract?
No.
Okay, so there are some people, is this person local?
I think he's based out of the Denver area.
Can I, because I'm building a new website and we're using people at the Merchant Campus. If you know, Senator MacLeod's daughter, they're trying to bring things into Trinidad and they have somebody over there, if not one, a couple people that build websites and do things like that. Is it possible that we could explore searching local? Because when we spend it locally, it stays locally. Is that a possibility?
I would think the only thing that I was gonna bring up too was and I would agree with Chief, the next package up, which is a little bit more per month, but it gives you more room to play. But one thing they did say in there, that the average cost of a suit that comes is $39,000.
Right.
So I would imagine, and nothing, and we would want to do everything we can local, but I would imagine that they wouldn't back us up with $25,000 or $50,000 in
Right.
order to cover
And-
that.
And how well trained are they at making a website?
And the other-
compliant?
Yeah, and the other thing is this company's working with 7 other special districts, 700 other special districts to do that. So
Okay,
although,
all right.
although
That
I,
makes a
I,
difference.
I would also think that that would be the, but I would almost pitch the, and I'd leave it up to chief's discretion, but that if for some reason, and we all know how ADA in Trinidad gets around, if there is the possibility of getting sued, one suit is 39,000. The one package is 25,000, the next package is 50,000, so it would at least cover one suit.
Right.
But
What I do with my video, if I live stream, we would have to have closed caption. That's why I video and then I put it on. That circumvents and audio, I mean, like a city council, you can have somebody that speaks real low, and so it's gonna be garbled. So that's the way I do this. Trust me, I'm very familiar. And the city went through this several years ago. It's if they're putting more restrictions in, I understand it. If there is an opportunity to explore it, I'll leave that up to you guys. It's your decision. But I'm all about, it's like, let's hire local, buy local,
Yeah,
spend
especially
local.
at a time like this, things are getting tough.
Yeah, but if it's not an option, I'll leave that up to your discretion.
And we can reach out and see what they're offering, but the other thing was each violation is up to $3,500 per violation. And then the other thing on top of the 25,000 is, I think they said they have 5 or 7 attorneys on board.
Okay.
And so they try to alleviate, before using that $25, they try to alleviate whatever the issue is
All right, that makes sense.
prior to
Okay.
getting to that.
so I
It
think,
make- yeah.
I think by paying for that and going with a bigger company, you kind of get that protection. And if
Yeah, you're
And
almost
we're
putting
getting
a
in a
layer on
space
retainer.
that people can start suing you over your website, and I think that's not.
Trust me, City of Trinidad's dealt with it.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, between them working with so many other special districts, and like I said, it's kind of like a small retainer for attorneys to, like, the big, at least preliminary stuff. And so I'm into it. I think I would defer to you. I think I'm fine with that, because it's like, yeah, you know more about what the requirements are that we're about to come up against, and I agree with you. The town has been historically one to prosecute over stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, and the other thing is, he guaranteed me that if we sign something before April 1st, then we can meet that July 1st deadline. Otherwise, we might not,
stay hanging out.
yeah, we might not hit that July 1st
Well,
deadline.
I think initially we have to go with somebody who has experience and the expertise,
Yeah.
because one slip up and we're,
yeah, maybe we try to revisit it
I think
after we get
live
everything
with it
set
for a
up and
while
see
and
if there's
see, yeah.
anybody that can maintain it that we feel like comfortable with, and if not, then it's like whatever.
And that's kind of the reason I wanted to go with the cheaper package to begin with, is to get started, and we can always move up.
Right.
He said we can go back down too, but once you start to customize it too much, going backward is kind of.
I don't want to make it complicated, we gotta keep it
Yeah.
simple.
I kind of like that idea, especially because then it's like starting at the lower package also does give us a buffer period of, can we reverse engineer this?
Right.
It's like, if we can't, that's fine. We got to play it safe and make sure we're doing it correctly. But I worked for a company that was very big about that, and there were some systems that were worth like thousands of dollars a month that we just reverse engineered, did our own spreadsheets, and figured out how to do it ourselves. And so if we're able to do anything within that range, whether it's reverse engineering it or it's just figuring out how to maintain, like, we only need the smaller package, or even if we figure out we should probably just get the top package.
It's always an evolving adjustment with
Yeah.
ADA, so that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Make sure we're at least starting out current.
Yeah.
You know.
And we'll start month to month now, but in the next budget cycle, if we budget for this, if we pay a full year in advance, then we get $20 off a month.
Okay,
So
that's cool.
we'll save
Okay.
a little bit
Yeah.
in the next budget cycle. But just to get started, we'll start out with a month to month, try and figure out what this is like,
Right.
and kind of go from there.
Yeah, feel it out.
Oh, where am I So March 25th, Lieutenant Romero attended the pipeline safety program. I was too busy, so I cheated and I got online and I got the certificate. It only took me a half hour or so. I think she was in class for what, was it 2 hours?
Yeah, I could, I was bombarded, yeah.
And that's pretty much, oh, yesterday I also sat on the EMS Compact webinar. And so the gentleman that put on that webinar used to be, what was Donnie's title at the state? He was one of our state EMS guys, and he moved on. He was like second or third in line at the state level. Really smart guy. But basically this EMS Compact, there's 25 states that have signed up to it now. And so if you're certified in one of those 25 states, you can go to any of those states and practice.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Are we one of the states?
We are one of the states.
That's really cool.
So us in Texas are one of the states. So if you're certified in Texas, you can come to Colorado and work in Colorado without getting a Colorado license.
That would be huge for disasters.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they reciprocate that.
Yeah, so they recommend that if you're gonna make that your permanent residence, that you get a state license, but you're not required to anymore. Like New Mexico is not part of the compact, so I can't go to New Mexico and practice, and they can't come here. and
Without, you'd
practice.
have to get a New
You
Mexico
still have to get a
license.
state license.
Yeah.
But for the other 25 states, it basically reciprocates.
That's really cool.
So, and they said that they're starting to see some issues with that because there's a lot of agencies that aren't aware of the EMS compact. And so the people are coming in and trying to work and they're saying, no, you have to get a state license. And you don't have to anymore.
Gotcha, yeah.
So, kind of cool.
It's already a done deal?
It is. It is.
That's way cool. That, again, my first thought is that really sounds awesome for disasters. You throw together some 1099s or whatever, just you're able to employ whoever comes up from other states and has a license. And
Yep.
That's awesome.
And I think it'll help, like, the nursing industry has traveling nurses. And so I think this will help, but maybe eventually we'll have traveling paramedics.
Yeah.
And so say we've got an injury, and so we've got a paramedic out for a year. Let's hire a traveling paramedic for a year until they get back and see
Yeah,
how that works out.
yeah, I think that's
Maybe I'll
awesome.
start that.
Yeah,
It's my retirement gig,
yep. I mean, if it's anything like travel nursing, it should be.
right?
Yeah.
Sounds great. Maybe it'll be EMS's beginning to a come up.
Yeah.
Does the
Who knows?
compact have a list? That would be where who would have
So
the
you
list
can
if you
either-
were gonna do the traveling paramedic.
You just get on the EMS Compact website and it's got a map of the United States and it's highlighted everybody that's in the compact.
Cool.
And then
Zach's right now.
I thought I would throw this up there. So in my email, almost daily, I'm getting headlines of incidents and service closures, and this is just a little bit. So this is just, I mean, fatigue, wear and tear, late night calls, you name it. So in Virginia, on March 20th, this was actually a GMR EMT. We were actually on the advocacy committee when one of the ladies from Texas told us about this. She's one of the GMR people. Was killed in an ambulance dump truck
What is
crash.
GMR?
Global Medical Response. AMR.
Gotcha.
In Colorado on March 14th, there's an ambulance for semi. Two EMS providers were injured. Philadelphia, there was another air ambulance crash. That's the third one that I know of this year, I think.
I think it is the third one.
British Columbia, there was an ambulance collided in an intersection near a hospital. Alberta, Canada, ambulance versus SUV, 5 hospitalized. Michigan, ambulance struck a deer. And that can very well happen right out here. We have deer every morning here.
Yeah.
And then just some closures. So this just kind of plays into the low reimbursement thing. So West Virginia, ambulance service shutting down due to low reimbursement. Hang on for a second. Western New York, there's an EMS program agency So basically, they just kind of oversee EMS programs. So not a huge deal, but they had to shut down due to state grant funding. Pennsylvania Volunteer Ambulance Service can't get EMTs, so they had to dissolve. So now somebody's got to figure out how to pay for EMTs to put out a paid service.
Yep.
Alabama, they're looking to fund ambulance service because reimbursement is so low.
I think Pickens County is where they go by a different name, but it's still the same company as Metro Atlanta. But yeah, there's a private service that I think runs that whole area.
West Virginia, they're looking for a petition to support EMS because the agency's losing $500 per 911 call. Which is,
Where have I heard that before?
we're at 700, 800
Yep.
per call, so.
Yep.
And then New York Task Force launched, address EMS understaffing and funding. So just goes to show it's not us, it's just the way the system's built. But if we don't find a fix soon, I mean, you're gonna see a lot of closures. And we're very fortunate being so rural to have such a high level paid ALS service that if we can't figure out a way to keep it going,
Yep.
it's gonna go away.
Yep.
And that's what I have for my director's report.
Just so you know, before EMS, it was the funeral homes that transported bodies.
Yeah.
I still can remember
Yeah,
in
you
the
holler at me.
'60s.
Give me like 7 or 8 years. You holler at me, Tom.
Our
Go
hearse
back
back
to-
in the '60s had a jump seat, was a hearse, and it was either a casket or a cot that was in there.
We'll get you some stickers for the windows that say "Now with oxygen and radios."
I scoured your website for a long time trying to find some history on EMS in Trinidad, and there is nothing before 1989. I can't find
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
No pictures, no stories.
But you asked, oh, that's right, I was gonna send you something. I have some of the pictures, but it doesn't, the hearses look, they just had the thing on top.
Right.
So you really couldn't tell the difference, but
There's gotta be something though, right?
I would-
Somebody's got
I'd
something.
love to find some history.
Wonder if I just put out like a Facebook blast
With all
to
the
see if I
mining
can.
stuff
So
and everything.
There's gotta be something.
for years, in our building, our building's a lot bigger than what it appears. College students live there, and they help run the ambulance service.
Mm.
So for years, and when we came in the '80s, into the 2000s, I had people come knock on the door and said, I used to live here and used to help in the ambulance,
Oh, wow.
but it was scoop and run. They
For
weren't
sure.
doing any sort of treatment because they had no training.
Yeah.
But and then Jay Shimino told me a story because his dad owned it in the '50s, and he told me a story that haunted him, that kept him from ever going into the business, from picking some people up that
Yeah.
had been killed. So
Oh, I forgot. I also printed this one out. It didn't pop up on my feed for some reason, but it was in my email. There's an Oklahoma ambulance crew crashed in a dust storm.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was not gonna bring this up to Chief because I was kinda after, for a while, pushing to get a transit van. If you look at that transit van, it was hit from behind, literally split the side clean open. So one of the reasons that we have the bigger trucks, that we do what we do and pay for what we pay for, is taking care of our crews and having safety. So that's another reason right there that we will.
Never been
Oh,
in
yeah.
there and asked him.
It's
Oh,
a way of saying you were right without saying you were right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fully supportive of a nice, solid, sturdy truck, because I've been in the little transit vans, and between them feeling like you're driving a billboard, and then, yeah, I can only imagine what it would be like if anything happened while I was in there, especially, God forbid, in the back with a patient. Ugh. Yeah.
Lamar had a similar incident,
Lyman,
a couple of years ago.
and it was a full-size ambulance.
It was demolished like that.
Wow.
It literally peeled the roof and the whole right side off of that ambulance.
Whoa.
But that was when, that's another thing. That's why we buy all aluminum core ambulances. There's no plywood in our ambulances.
Right.
You could see the plywood laying on the highway from the ambulance. So,
Wow. Well, way to be a bummer.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Turn it down.
Yeah.
We gotta keep it neutral,
Yeah, we
It's
were
like a
getting
roller
excited.
coaster.
You're right. We were getting a bit chummy there for a minute. Any questions, concerns, comments on director's report? Do we need a vote for website stuff? I think just
No.
carry on.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it month to month and it falls within my
Sweet,
range, so
perfect,
we're good.
cool. So then that will move us on to item number 10, operations fleet report.
Okay. For February, bless you, had 100, bless you again, you only get 2.
Where's your PowerPoint?
Yeah.
I need a visual aid.
We had 189 calls, that's 189.
He's
189,
He's still
got it.
whittling it.
That's up 13 from January. Our third out unit had 3 calls with 3 transports. Chief ran a call with 2 contact forms, so it was traffic accident. I didn't have anything listed that month.
Weird.
And that was coming. We had 31 IFTs, and that was up 7 from the month before. This is for you, President. Had one, and this was a little bit different. The month before, we had the one that we had to turn around because the guy went into cardiac arrest. And so we turned around and brought him back to the hospital. This one, the crew, it was kind of crappy weather, but by the time they got outside of town, it was a whiteout. The wind was blowing, snowing.
Yeah.
So they called the hospital, turned around, ended up holding the transport till the next day. So just to let you know on that.
That makes sense.
We didn't have any ER to home transports. Year to date is 55 transports so far for January. February miles were 5,834, brings us to a year to date mileage of 10,934. We still have 6 trucks going. The one truck is waiting on a air conditioner compressor. We're going through air conditioning, getting those up and running. Hate to say we still have one of our employees out on the workman's comp. She's going through PT, but she's having some complications. She's had 1 injection of cortisone and gonna have another one next month. So we're hoping and praying that she can get back and coming back to us soon. Our full-time EMT is off and running on his own shift, so that's good. Had the donation, and then one of these meetings, and one of the things James or Tiny that came down, talked at the hearing, as well as he did our needs assessment for the community health. One of the things he said, and we didn't do it right away, we've kind of really stepped it up, is going to the different meetings around the county. And by doing so, was able to connect with one of the COG employees that said, we're doing this, and explain to which, by the way, everybody's on board. They say, oh my God, this community needs that so much. So everybody is good about that. But she offered to, and she thought she might have some money for some training. So one of the classes that we need specifically would be helpful for community paramedic is in motivational interviewing, which is it's going to be about just under $3,500. Got the approval, she got the money, got a PhD doctor of psychology, going to teach it, and we have 21 spaces, so we'll offer it to other emergency agencies, PDSO, fire, as well as, and if we have other openings, we'll open it up to Warfield County because it's combined Warfield and that. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be in May. Then I didn't have a PowerPoint, and I didn't put the dates down of all the stuff we did, but Chief did miss one of the things we did, which was we met with some consultants with the Behavioral Health Association.
Reported that last meeting,
Did you?
so it was the same day. Anyway, go ahead.
I was just trying to throw you under the bus.
Thought I had it. I really thought I had it. Anyway, so I will bring it up because I still am kind of impressed about that we were able to meet with them, even though we haven't started with the BHA. But there was a lot of good feedback, and we weren't the only ones that were given the same feedback that they were getting from other agencies. We also participated in the regional medical response surge exercise that was in Pueblo, advocacy meetings. We have set up for the Narcan program and Naloxone program. We have in-person training on April 7th.
Did you mention that at the last meeting?
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, being able to give out like Narcan
Yeah.
bags and
Yeah.
stuff.
But now we have that, and the other cool thing is I actually have a meeting with her either tomorrow or Friday. It's Friday, because they're also giving out Suboxone for after overdoses. So I've already put a bug in our medical director
That's
here.
a really good technique because it's got the same.
It's the new thing going around. So.
Whoa, that's smart because it'll help cut down on withdrawals, and then it will
Then-
also
then
keep from
they're not gonna
overdosing.
be as apt to go and use again,
Yeah.
because people aren't using to get high anymore, they're using to stay away from the withdrawals.
Mhm.
So if you give them the Suboxone, then you give them just enough to keep that away from that.
For sure.
So we'll look into that.
That's smart.
Another cutting edge thing that Trinidad Ambulance will be providing to the community hopefully soon. Doing the QMC, which is Quality Management Committee. We're splitting from southeast Colorado to the southern RETAC, which we set in. So we'll be starting that the first week in April. So we're, both Liz and I are in doing that. Attended another DHS meeting and then also Adult Protective Services meeting today. Chief said we did the grant hearings, which went really well. We also sat on and reviewed, each of us reviewed 2 grants, and then we're backups for 2 other grants. So we did that as well. And that's about all I have.
On the IFTs, how many, what's the most, what's the destination that's the most common?
So particularly, it's coming more and more. This last month was 25 of the 31 went to Parkview, but they're still going. We did, wasn't really an issue, just kind of had to remind them because they called us to go to Denver and they didn't call the other hospitals in Springs. So I informed them that we transport to the closest appropriate facility and the reasons why. Followed it up with an email to Andres and their medical director. So it should be all right there, but just kind of reminded them that this is how we do things and
I
stuff.
know
So
there's one hospital, I forget which one, but one of them in Springs just applied for their level 1 and I think got it. They applied like last year and got level 1.
it's got to be either Penrose or St. Francis.
I
That
want to
one
say
of the
it's
new
St.
ones.
Francis.
Because
But I can't
the
remember.
only one that was level 1 is Memorial Central. So we're just, like I said, that was one of the reasons that they're supposed to call management prior to going to Denver so that we can make sure that we're doing that, because if we're bypassing literally 10 hospitals to get to Denver, so.
Well, and the insurance doesn't cover that.
Right.
So the patient gets stuck with a bill that's not necessary.
Mm.
And so it's looking out for our patients by doing
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
The good news about that is, after I did inform them that that was still our process, the patient went to Colorado Springs. Woo-hoo.
Sweet.
So anyway, so yeah, I mean, that's the thing, we work through it, whether it's lieutenants, and that night it wasn't a lieutenant, but they called, we worked through it.
Sweet. Cool.
That's what I have for you.
Awesome. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Open the PowerPoint.
Yeah. Other than I've forgotten everything you said.
I'll bring you guys flashcards.
Yeah, yeah. I expect them to be color coded. Then that'll move us on to item number 11, miscellaneous.
Don't have anything official, but since you mentioned it, the roof getting done, I guess we should have kind of let you guys know that the insurance did approve.
Yeah, the roof's,
For a brand new roof,
Roof's
it's
clear.
a brand new roof.
I did drive by earlier, I was like, what are you doing on my roof?
I just heard the wind blowing. I thought, if it gets blown off, he's, got assistance right here.
That's true, yeah, yeah.
That's what I told the guy, you're not gonna jump, are you?
Yeah, don't do it, man, you've got
Is
so
that
much
for
to
Rachel?
live for.
It is.
Good deal. Can we just, what are the numbers? Can we discuss them? I mean, what did the insurance come in and pay?
So initially it was right around 284,000 or so.
roof, yeah.
And then she said that didn't cover everything. And so they went back and they cut us another check for, what was it, 20?
I thought it was 40.
That was a great move there,
A
buddy.
little over 300.
You were under $100.
Yeah.
I'm introducing her to more people, and she's very grateful.
Yeah.
She's a go-getter.
So it wasn't nearly as much, so maybe it was 40-ish, but
Yeah. That's
they
fantastic.
Cool, good,
So,
that's
our
awesome.
insurance went up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
What do you do?
I got
Yeah.
a couple things if.
I do too. Go
Okay,
ahead, Joe.
you,
But that, Rachel when I saw the guys on the roof, that was the question. Second thing is, congratulations, Joe, on your appointment, or whatever we call it.
I was one of the things I was gonna bring up, but. is there any-
Audra is Garrett, who's a city clerk. I've known her for many, many years. I'm excited that she'll be on board. That's what I like about boards, and this is kind of one of my passions, and diversity is important, and she's going to bring another element. I don't know the other woman, but it's nice to have some women on the board too.
Absolutely.
So I think we've got a good diverse board. The third thing, guys, and I gotta qualify this with, as a board member, it's my job to listen. And I've known somebody for about 30 years. I'm going to give you a copy of this, and I just want to go through the bullet points. This is a complaint. And I'm going to be careful, I'm not going to use names or anything like that, or the issues, and I made a copy of what the person had to say. And it has more to do not with our services, but with insurance. And just going quickly through the bullet points is, this person had said that their insurance paid. The second thing was, they said they were in the network, and some of this I don't even understand, frankly. But then they found out they weren't in the network, and they want to negotiate. They were saying the ambulance didn't want to negotiate. The fourth thing, I'm going to skip over that. And it's just, as much as anything, it has to do with customer relations. And so I'm going to give you a copy of this. You guys are going to know who this is. You also know this person. And I don't want to step in any doo-doo. I don't know if this is an executive session topic for another meeting, if we address it. But I think the most important thing, again, whether we're staff or board members, is that we listen to the people. And when they bring up an issue, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And so,
I agree with you.
So I'll give you a copy of what this person expressed to me, and then how you guys handle it is up to you.
So I believe I know who the person is. I believe that person did have a conversation with me just the other day.
Yes.
So let me point out.
Do we want to not step in anything?
No, I think it's all well, because I think that she was very happy with the care.
Yes.
She was very happy with what we did. Everything that happened in this case is outside of what we can do.
Okay.
Now, it is a fallacy that we didn't want to work with the insurance company. We don't necessarily do that. The in-network stuff and the out-of-network stuff, that's on her insurance as far as that goes. Now, the other thing that came up in our conversation was, because it was an interfacility transfer. That person got transported, insurance only paid X amount. That's one of the things that Chief and I are fighting for at the advocacy level, the state, and the state is fighting for,
Okay.
is House Bill 1088, I believe is correct. And what that is no bounds billing. So what we're trying to do is basically force the insurance companies to pay their fair share, because they don't.
Okay.
So ultimately, what would happen is they would pay our set rates, or up to 325% of Medicare.
Right.
Okay, if you don't have set rates, which we have set rates. Okay, so if that legislation is to pass, this person wouldn't have had to deal with that.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that we're fighting for at our level at the state, to do that. So I think that, and like I said, I did have a good conversation. I know she's frustrated. And believe me, insurance companies will try to get out of everything that they can and only gonna pay the minimal amount. If you go back to the great PowerPoint earlier, that gross billing was 5 million, and the net billing, that's after the insurance took out their stuff. So that knocked it down. Allowable.
Right.
So that knocked out $2 million right there of what we should be getting as well. So yes, I did have that conversation. So unfortunately, when it comes to billing, there was one thing that this person did say, and I do believe that our billing company is going through a bunch of new people and stuff. She didn't like how she was treated by the billing company.
Right.
They hired, I think they said 16 new people in one day.
Yeah,
Right.
There's a lot of training.
but and that's something that I planned on having a conversation with our representative that we talked about, because when they call about their bill, they need to get some and not be treated poorly.
I'll leave this with you guys and, hopefully we address it maybe in executive session, because I think we touch on some things.
Tell them I want to see some US.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to
Service
address it
quality.
in executive session.
He already spoke.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, and I don't know if you agree, but the only thing that we can really address is the poor way she was treated with the our billing company.
Yeah, I'll give this to you, and maybe reach out to her again so she knows, and I'll tell her to watch this, because I just want her to know as a board member, I'm being responsive to someone saying, hey.
No, I think that's one of our big duties, so I think it's totally.
And just to
Totally
add to
appropriate.
that a little bit, so, and this frustrates me because the insurance companies are putting the patients in the middle. So United Healthcare has been doing this a lot recently, and there's been a lot of state agencies that have been dealing with this. So they'll go and they'll tell the
It's almost like
patient.
they might deal with some issues
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah. And so they're going in and they're saying, we're in network, we've contracted with that agency, so you shouldn't have to pay anymore.
Mhm.
And that's not the case. We don't have a contract with any insurance company
Right.
for that reason,
Yeah.
because you can't contract because of the anti-kickback statute. So if we give anybody, an insurance company, a discount, then we have to give Medicare and Medicaid that same discount.
Gotcha.
And so we can't offer anything lower than what Medicare allows.
That's why we just have rates.
So we just have the set rates, and unfortunately, private insurance pays a little bit more, but I mean, that's what happens when you don't contract and when you're not willing to work with your patients and
Mhm.
the local community.
No, we had one that was a cardiac arrest on like a 60-something-year-old patient, and they tried to refuse the bill because we used epinephrine, and they said that there was no reason to work the patient.
Yeah, it's crazy to me.
It was like, that was the only thing, like, no matter what, you're doing a workup, they didn't have obvious signs of death, we were gonna do CPR and ACLS protocols, we're gonna give epinephrine, that's guaranteed. And they tried to not pay for any of it. And so it's like, they'll try to stiff everybody for anything.
But we absolutely agree with our patients, and that's why we're pushing so hard for this 1088, because we don't feel like they should be stuck in the middle. We don't feel like they should be getting the bill.
Yep.
They're already paying insurance a ton of money every year,
Mhm.
and so the insurances should be covering the cost.
Period.
What was your statistic on, you had a statistic on insurance companies and what percentage nationally do insurance companies pay for ambulance service? It was like 0.3%.
Well, yeah, so what they're actually, that was a little bit different scenario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a little bit different scenario. The other thing I will say, and I tried to explain this to this person, was that she thought that the bill was exorbitant. And I explained to her some of the things that we deal with, and the majority of our cost is readiness. And that's just having staff and having stuff in the ambulance and having somebody here to respond.
Right.
So as you see from the glorious PowerPoint once again, that it's costing us, we should be collecting $1,300 for every trip,
For every call.
for every call, and we're only getting 500 for the calls that we transport, because we're a transport benefit. So that's where it's all backwards. So, but I hope and I will take time to talk with that person.
Yeah, that's what I want. When people feel like they're unheard, especially when it comes to government, that just builds their frustration. And then, they're going to tell two other people who are going to tell two other people. And we already have,
I think
the
that's why
issue.
we're at where we are, is
Yeah.
because there's too many times that's gone unnoticed or gone unheard.
Yeah.
So I think it's I think it's great that you brought it up and took the complaint and listened.
I've known her probably for 30 years, her and her husband. And so when you reach out, Bubba, let her know that I addressed it because I want her,
I
to.
absolutely will.
So, and
Yeah,
I'll
and I
give you
think-
a copy of this. I asked that it be redacted, but this person didn't. And so I was like, well, then I'm not going to bring up the name now in a public meeting, but, and we already both know who it is. And so again, people want to be heard.
Yeah.
And that can go a long way in our relationship in the community.
And in the meantime, I do agree that a conversation with the billing company of like, hey, what's going on? We're getting complaints about how you're treating the patients.
Right.
And so,
And I've been on the phone with them because
Yeah.
I've had several phone calls within the last week. Patients unable to get through
yeah,
to the billing company to make a payment
gotcha.
and then not getting the call back. So I made a couple of phone calls.
So even if they didn't feel like it was rude, people are having
Yeah.
some issues
So
here recently.
that's when I found out they had 16 new hires in one
Yeah.
day, and so
Yeah.
it did go beyond our representative that we had a concern.
I
So
think Barbara just hit it on the head. I think that was the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the care. It was,
Right.
Yeah,
so,
that's frustrating. We left
Yeah.
our last billing company for the same reason. And this billing company was great starting out, but I think they've taken on so many accounts
They're
because
getting
people are
by.
leaving other places
Yep.
that now they're having the same issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a never-ending cycle.
in all my years of following the ambulance, this has always been an issue.
Mhm.
It goes way, way back.
Yeah, I've never seen a service not have an issue with billing, even when billing was internal. And it was still some issues between the billing department and it was a mess.
Nothing I want a part of.
Yeah, billing seems to always be it's like a drummer in a band. Yeah.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah. Hey, stick with me, I got a bunch of.
Did that cover your stuff, Tom?
Yeah, thank you.
Love the new PowerPoint to understand that analogy.
I forgot Bubba was here because he didn't have a PowerPoint. I didn't even. Has he done his report yet? Is that?
Clowns, a bunch of clowns. It's all right. Day after day around here for Bubba.
Uh-oh, he's mumbling again. Uh-oh, we have upset Bubba.
That's all I have.
Cool. And
Just a couple quick things here. One, at San Fe Trail Ranch, they're having Team Rubicon's going to come in and do a big mitigation project for 4 days. They'll be coming in on the 1st, and actually like the 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th is Sunday they'll be leaving. But they're going to bring like 50 people in.
cool.
And then we're going to have several of the ranch people on. So I just want to put, I'll be sending you something formally from the board, just to let you know that there's, there'll be a lot of people with chainsaws and stuff out there that, may need help.
When was that again?
They're coming in May 1st to set up, but in earnest, they'll be there the 2nd, 3rd, and the Sunday the 4th, they'll be leaving and deactivating. We're gonna set up an incident command center at the ranch so that we run it like an incident. So we'll.
The last time Rubicon came in, they gave me a call.
Yes.
So
we talked to them and they didn't
Yeah.
want an ambulance on
they did,
standby.
they didn't.
That's
want to-
okay, but we're still gonna.
Yeah,
No, it's
we'll be
great.
ready.
Be
Yeah, no, it's
notified.
great to have and I was just letting you know that they did notify us last time.
Right, and so we're working closely with them, because they want the fire department's involved, they want the sheriff's office involved, so that we kind of work it like an incident. So that, something happens,
Yeah, that way
And
it's
they're
already in
they're pretty thorough, they're all veterans, they're tough folks.
Are you gonna have, department heads on site at the IC, or are you just gonna
We're,
run it?
we're working on that, I'll know a little better next week. They were here, yesterday, we went on the ranch and, try and work out what we're doing, where we're gonna go and how many are gonna come. The city of Trinidad has been cooperative, they're gonna give us a community center for them to build it at. so they'll have a place to stay. Our ladies group on the ranch is talking about giving them lunch and dinner. So we're trying to, accommodate everything and try to get everybody involved.
So if you do that, I want to be involved. So even if Bubba or I can't do it, I would like one or all of our lieutenants to be involved,
Incident command.
so they can see what an incident command
That's
is like.
exactly what the point is.
Yep.
Make it like a real
Yep.
obligation and be more watch and learn and listen and give them assignments and tell them what that assignment means. So
Nice.
it's a good learning
Yeah.
experience for all of us.
It's a good opportunity.
Yeah, me too,
Seize.
me also, so
Yeah.
it'll be things, I just want to
I
let you know
mean,
it's coming up.
yeah, any kind of massive incidents, any kind of, mass casualty incidents, it's like, it's always good. I
We're gonna
find
run
every
like
time.
if there's a fire. And,
Yeah.
And, we'll be doing mitigation, but it's just gonna be kind of,
Yeah,
a
that'd be
lot of
great.
people. I'm getting pushback from some of the old board members, but we're gonna run it that way. And so that's kind of,
I think you should, and it can go for the county exercise.
it goes, for my deliverables, it looks
Absolutely.
like my grant too, so
Yep.
that helps a lot.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And the only other thing I had was, I'm probably off subject, but with the E911 board meeting, I'm concerned iPause isn't up and running yet.
It's tomorrow,
It's tomorrow, what time is that?
1:30.
1:30. You mind if I swing in?
No.
I kinda need to know where I am, because I got all the search to get it established, the county put up the money to get it going. And now I wanna know why it's not going.
So I missed the last meeting, but I know that it was brought up at the last meeting, and I think the issue was the certs.
Yeah, Mandy said that, something about the
Yeah, I sent
certs.
Mandy everything that I did, I sent her copies of mine and where to get them, how to do it. It's just, 2 classes, basically. It's a pain, there's a lot in it, I'm not gonna discount it, it's not a lot, but we gotta get that up and running, or we'll start running into political trouble. But we need that as a community, as a follow-up, that we'll be doing a push for RAVE, the Smart 911 again here shortly, because fire season's coming up, to get people signed up for that, because that's initially, you can put a whole bunch of information on that, and it will help you when you're making the 911 calls, you'll know who they are, what they even look like, they can put their picture on it and everything. So we'll be pushing that too, but the iPause bothers me only because, that'll get everybody, if we have a real major emergency, they'll get notified, so.
Yeah, sure.
I'll get here tomorrow 1:30, then. That sounds good.
So Barb will remind me if not.
And thank you for listening, I appreciate that. That's all I have.
Awesome. And I think that covers it. We'll move on to item number 12, next regular meeting date. I have April 23rd. Am I right? Or am I wrong? Yeah,
You were correct.
so April 23rd at 1600.
Oh, and guess what? We're gonna have cinnamon rolls that day.
Ooh.
How do you know that far in advance?
Right?
Because my
You don't know when to let
PowerPoint
people
on my
in.
Google machine says that it's Administrative Professional Day.
Ooh.
Cinnamon rolls. I'm holding you to it.
Yeah, she's writing
I'm
it down.
putting it
It's in the minutes.
Cinnamon rolls.
And then we'll just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Tom,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes. We have the board fully full now, Tom? Is that